What is going on, college basketball fans? Today we got my winner and score predictions for this week's Saturday slate of college basketball. I usually do my favorite 7 games that I'm most excited for, but if I do not get to a game that you guys want my prediction for, make sure you guys comment that down below in the comment section, and I will reply to you with my prediction to that game. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, first game, we got a good one here in the ACC, and it is the Miami Hurricanes traveling to Cameron Indoor Stadium to face the Duke Blue Devils. And I was back and forth on this one because both teams seem to struggle on the road. So that's kind of why I'm leaning more towards the home team in the Duke Blue Devils. Miami just lost another road game to NC State. That one went to overtime. I have this one projected to go to overtime as well. Duke, they haven't been playing the best ball as of late, but they do have really good athletes on this team because they have like these top freshmen coming in, and I think that they will be able to compete with Jordan Miller, Isaiah Wong, and Nigel Pack, because I feel like Duke is one of those teams, like whenever you have a team that has like really high prospects and stuff like that, they play up to their competition, and I feel like that Duke, especially this year, they play down to their competition as well. So when they're playing a team like Boston College, they kind of like, it's Boston College, will probably win. We're not really going to put in our best efforts. But I feel like whenever they go up against a team like Miami, a top 25 team, one of the top teams in the ACC now, behind Cameron Indoor Stadium, it's going to be loud. They're going to be supporting their Blue Devils. I got Duke winning in overtime, 84-80. I think guys like Tyrese Proctor could have a big game. Mark Mitchell, not necessarily the freshman we thought were going to be great coming into this season, but the ones that have looked pretty good so far this year. I could also see a big game by Kyle Flipowski. That's going to be the key matchup. Flipowski versus Norchad Omier. It's going to be fun, but I could definitely see Miami's guards dominating, but I just don't trust Miami on the road at this point, especially because they lost to teams like Georgia Tech and NC State now on the road in conference play. So give me the Blue Devils in overtime. Game number 2, we got a top 15 matchup in the Big 12. The Big 12 has been so much fun to watch this year, and both these teams coming off of a loss on the road earlier in the week. TCU just lost to West Virginia. Kansas just lost to Kansas State. Both are in big need of a bounce back game, and Kansas in Allen Fieldhouse this year has been playing in a lot of close games. So that kind of made me think about this a little bit, because TCU, a very tough team, a team that usually plays pretty good, even on the road, but I could see them having a lead in this game and maybe even blowing it towards the end, kind of like they did in that Texas game. Maybe not an 18-point lead like they did at Texas, but a pretty decent sized lead, maybe 10, 12 points, and then blowing it. Allen Fieldhouse comes alive. Kansas with a big comeback and ends up winning by 10 points. They've been playing, like I said, in a lot of close games. When they're at home, I could see this one, especially coming off of their first loss in league play and their first loss in a while this season. I think that they turn up here, and this one not so close for the first time in league play at Allen Fieldhouse. They win by 10, 79-69. I do think some key matchups are worth mentioning in this one. Daquan Harris on Mike Miles. That could be a good matchup there, especially on the road, trying to slow Mike Miles down. A very good defensive point guard and a smart point guard in Daquan Harris Jr. Also, Eddie Lampkin on the sophomore KJ Adams. Is KJ Adams going to be able to hold his own against Big Eddie? I'm not so sure. I kind of like the matchup there for TCU down low, but I'm sure Kansas are going to send some double teams down there at Eddie, and TCU's athletes, guys like Miller and Baugh, they're going to have to be huge for TCU to win this game. I think TCU controls a lot of this first half. Kansas comes back in the second half, ends up winning by 10 in game 2. Next up, we got game number 3, and this is probably the game I'm most excited to watch this season, because we're not going to get too many big matchups in the Pac-12 this year. I mean, this is really the matchup in the Pac-12 for the season, so I'm hyped for it. UCLA traveling to Arizona. It's going to be a great one, and I'm recording this on Thursday night, and both of these teams are playing right now as I'm recording this video. UCLA is facing UCLA is facing Arizona State. Arizona is facing USC right now, so I do not know the results of those games when making my prediction here. But Arizona, struggling a little bit. They lost to Washington State, lost to Oregon recently. They need a big win here, especially at home, to prove that they are still a top team and a team that could potentially win the national championship this year. I mean, they had a lot of hype throughout the beginning of the season, and it's kind of cooled off recently because they've lost those few games. But beating UCLA, who is at the time right now the number 5 team in the country, even though it is at home, that's still a massive win, and that would definitely get people back on the hype train here for this Arizona team. I do really like, I say this all the time, Arizona has maybe the best front court in the country there with Ballo and Turbellis. They're going to need to utilize their big men, and both of them are going to have big games here in this one if they want to win. Also, Kerr Krista, he's going to have a big night shooting. Courtney Ramey, he's wishy-washy on and off most games. They need him to be on, and they need him to be a leader on this team. I really feel like that's kind of what Arizona lacks. They have a lot of talent on this team, but do they have like that guy who's going to lead them and rally them throughout March, and in a big game like this? That's what they need. They need to know who their leader is. And on UCLA's side, they have that guy. They have Tiger Campbell, who has been their starting point guard for quite some time now. And he thrives, in neutral site games, in big games, on the road. That's kind of where Tiger Campbell thrives, and he's going to be able to hit some big shots down the stretch, which is why I do not think Arizona pulls away in this one by no means. I have this one finishing close, 80-78. I do give it to Arizona. They're going to need, I think their big guys are going to have a good game no matter what. They need their guard play to really step it up to win this one. Jamie Jaquez, I don't think he's going to be guarding. He might be guarding Turbellis. That's going to be a fun matchup if so. But yeah, I got Arizona winning this one. Number 4, we got another good one here in the ACC conference. NC State has been hot lately. I've seen a lot of people, we just did our bracket predictions and Jerry Palm had them as a 5 seed. Like, how about NC State? I don't think anybody really expected them to be, a tournament team coming into the year, but they've gotten good wins over teams like Duke, over teams like Miami. Both of those coming at home, though. They have shown to, lose some games by quite a good amount of points. So I'm not so sure that this NC State team travels too well on the road, and going into a tough environment in Chapel Hill, I worry about that. And one thing, even though North Carolina hasn't been the most consistent team this year, and they haven't been, great all year, they have started to win, the games they're supposed to as of late. The only more recent game that they've lost was on the road at Virginia, and Virginia's just a super good team, so I don't fault North Carolina too much for that one. I think at home, I like North Carolina a lot in this one. And as I was saying, North Carolina have been inconsistent this year, but one person who has been very consistent for this team is Armando Bacot. Even though North Carolina has been struggling at times, Armando Bacot is still one of the best players in college basketball, and I don't think NC State has any big guys who are going to be able to handle Bacot, especially in Chapel Hill. So that's the main reason I'm taking North Carolina in this one. I also think Caleb Love, RJ Davis have good games in those ones. Those guys are so streaky with when they play good, when they don't. I think in this one, they play pretty good, and North Carolina actually pulls away in this one. I have them winning by 12, 79-67. Next up, we got Alabama heading on the road to face Missouri, and this one might be a lot closer than I thought it would be. Last night, Missouri did defeat Arkansas at home. It is a really good environment there at Missouri, so that could cause some troubles and be a factor in this game for sure. I do think that the refs did help Missouri a lot out in that Arkansas game there at the end. So, but that's another topic. The refs have been on something this season, but before that Arkansas game, they lost to teams like Florida, Texas A&M, and they just been, not looking that great as of late. And I think Alabama, who has been very consistent, been dominating teams, goes on the road in this one, picks up a big W. I actually kind of wanted to pick them by more, but I thought since it is at home for Missouri, I think they keep it a little bit close here in this one. But I have Alabama pretty much controlling this whole game and winning 70-63. Kobe Brown versus Brandon Miller. That's going to be a fire matchup. I'm excited to watch this one, but I think the Crimson Tide will win it. Game number 6, we got our second of 2 really good Pac-12 matchups this week. It's rare that we have, out of the 7 games that we do every week, I picked my favorite 7 games. It's rare to have 2 Pac-12 games in the predictions, but we got them here today. And like I said earlier, USC is facing Arizona, and Arizona State is facing UCLA. So I do not know the outcomes of those games as I'm recording them. They're actually happening right now, so I'm going to watch the ending of those after I finish up this video. I do like the matchup here for Arizona State at home. They're playing back-to-back home games here this week. They got UCLA as I'm recording this video right now, and then they got USC here Saturday. So I like Arizona State to win this one here at home, especially because Arizona State, they have a very consistent starting 5, and anyone on that starting 5 can score the basketball, and they have really good ball movement. I really like the coaching there by Bobby Hurley, and I like the Sun Devils in this one. USC is a really well-coached team too, though, so I feel like the coaching is going to be a big factor in this one. I think it's going to be a close, pretty low scoring game. I have the Sun Devils winning 65-60 here at home in this one. And lastly, we have our mid-major game of the week. Usually I always pick my favorite 7 games to do the predictions on, and the last game I always make it my favorite mid-major matchup of the week. We gotta show some love to the mid-majors, and this is a really good game here between BYU and San Francisco, especially because San Francisco is the home team. But I'm still leaning more towards BYU. They've been on a pretty good win streak here as of late. They're playing Santa Clara right now as I'm recording this video, so that is also another good matchup. I was actually deciding if I wanted to do this one or the matchup between St. Mary's and Santa Clara Saturday, but I decided to go with this one. I feel like this is going to be a closer game, and I got BYU winning 73-68. I do think that San Francisco's guard play, which is really good, could be a factor in this one, especially at home. If their guards can control this game and put on a good show, I think that they could hold BYU to under 70 and maybe come out with a win here at home. It would be maybe a slight upset. I'm not sure the lines on this one, but I would guess that it's pretty close to 50-50 here in this one. So I'm excited to watch this one. This is a really good matchup here in the West Coast Conference. The West Coast Conference, underrated this year. It's not just Gonzaga and St. Mary's. BYU, San Francisco, Santa Clara. There's a lot of pretty good teams there in the West Coast Conference. But that's going to do it here for this video. Make sure you guys like if you guys enjoyed, and if you guys have any games that I did not mention in this video that you guys want to know my prediction on, comment it down below and I will reply to you with my predictions for that game. And yeah, guys, subscribe if you guys are new. Best college basketball content here on YouTube is on the channel, so you guys don't want to miss it. Make sure you guys subscribe. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.